Okay, so welcome to the next meeting. I have some plans here. One of them is showing you tkinter or TK. Actually, that's the more official name of this thing. I mentioned in the README from the project that I would like you to know how your program is going to interact with the user. And one of the things, and it can be command line or there can be other things as well, but maybe we learned basically command line. And I also mentioned this TK or tkinter, tkinter. I'm not sure how people say this library to use. And actually, there was already one student, Shahar, who used it for an example, and I will start with that probably, and then we'll take a look at others. So the idea here is that so far I ran these command line programs where we said Python. I think this is the program we'll have to run, and then we were expecting either that the program asks you with the input function, which is less, I think, in my opinion, it's less, it's not that user friendly. Or you get the values on the command line. So let's say input CSV and output CSV, you are going to accept the parameters there. And this is very common, especially for people using Linux and also Mac, but most of you are using Windows, so maybe you're less familiar with this. So there is a totally different way to interact with users, which needs extra learning, but and it has all kind of advantages and disadvantages, of course. But you can try to do this. So let me start running this example. Actually, Python. What was the name of the program? XLS Okay, so I run this program and it shows you a pop-up, which is probably quite unreadable for you because the fonts are so small. I can move it to my other screen and I can see them, but then you can't see it. So basically, it's a file selector, and it's open on the same folder where we are, and you're supposed to select a file. I think I can double click here. I don't know what are there inside. I can't really see. Let me move it to another folder. No, I just got into the cache subfolder. I'm not sure how to find, but let's just click on console now. You could enlarge this window. Still not good because the fonts didn't change. It's
Sorry,
yeah.
you don't select a file, you select a folder, in my case, if it's my
Oh, that's you here. Okay, that's great.
yes. Yeah.
Lucky that you're here. Okay, so you select a folder, but which folder? Because you don't just this one?
The folder with the file you want to
Yeah, but
analyze. If it's mine,
did you
it's the
provide
same.
it?
Yeah, it's the same folder. It's the same folder as the code file.
So I just okay. Okay, so that's not now funny. So I'm going to critique your project, but it's really nice that you used the thing. So you could ask for the same thing also in the GUI thing. So the file explorer that you used is nice because user can travel around in the file system and select the folder. And probably you wrote there that that's the name of the folder is just because of the resolution of the screen that we couldn't see. Okay. So for everyone else, and if you're using it on your own computer, it will probably work fine. And then there is this question asking something, how many samples types in your experiment? Let's say I have no idea, just say 5. Name of the sample type. Okay, can you help me out? What should I put here?
Yeah. So the number of samples is the number of files. Each file represents one sample. And then the program asks you for two strings, basically. The first is the name you want to appear in the tables, so the name of your sample.
Oh, it's
And the
just this
second,
random name, so I don't know.
yeah, it's just the name that you want for your sample
So
that
I
makes
can
sense to
just
you.
type in Kukuriku.
Yes.
Okay.
And then it will ask you for another name. This time, it's because I go over a whole folder and I need to identify which file is represented by which name that you gave. So this one is a string that has to be case sensitive, and it's the identifier of the file. So it has to be a part of the file's name, and it has to be only in that file's name. So if it's in two samples, it won't work.
Okay, so can you let me just open it here, another
So,
window, so just you can see easily what. So
so
is it
I have two files. I have the L and I have wild type,
okay? So the
the
del
WT.
and WT. Okay, so I just
Yeah.
have to type in DL or WT.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So for example, here, I would, if you're already doing this, I would provide a list of possibilities and let the user select. Okay. I mean, maybe your user, which is yourself, probably at is first, you know already what kind of input values you might put here, but the general user probably doesn't know. So I would probably put here the. I mean, you can already read the list, right? You already selected the folder.
Yeah,
So,
there's a list that was also filtered. So if there are more files in the folder, I only chose the CSV files.
yeah, yeah. So you can
So
here
yeah,
you could show the list of the possibilities.
yeah. If you can show how to do like a drop down menu, that's the best, I think, if it's
Right.
possible.
Okay. So um, here I wouldn't do it. I mean, if so, okay. So two things. One, that you started with this GUI thing. GUI stands for graphical user interface. So that's the pop-up window was, and then you started to use the command line or the command line basically, or the terminal. I would do one of them and not both. And we're going to look at how to use TK in more general, and then you can try to figure out how to do that. And there are drop-down box and everything. But if you're using the terminal like this, I would probably just print out the list of the names, maybe next to each one a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let the user select the number. So you in this case, I would say one del and two WT, and then let the user here, instead of selecting the word del, typing in the word del, I would let the user type in 1 or 2. Okay. Now, of course, if you have 100 of them, that's not really possible. If you have 5 or 10, that you can put on the screen, that's fine. If you have too many, then well, then maybe we have to switch the whole thing into some like GUI-like environment. But let me just put here del, name of the sample type. Okay, so I have to put the other one as well, right?
Yeah, but because you did 5, it will go 5 times.
Oh,
You don't have 5 files to choose from.
okay, so I just press Control C, whatever. Okay, so that's that too. I mean, you could already get, I mean, why do you have to type in this number? I mean, you could, once I've selected the folder, you know how many, right?
The logic was that the user performed the experiment, so he should know how many samples he has. And I didn't want to force the user to think ahead and only save CSV files that have something to do with this experiment in this folder. So if he has more CSV for other stuffs, I would get a list of all the CSVs, but he would get a list of but he will only choose the ones that he
Yeah.
wants to analyze.
Yeah. By the way, another option is here, instead of asking the user to type in, just popping up more of these file selectors and letting the user select each one of these Excel files or CSV files.
Yeah, of course. That's
Okay.
probably better.
Yeah. So and so this is actually really nice. This in my at least in my opinion, this discussion. And I would really like to encourage everyone who's watching the video and all of the students to pick some other student. Okay, share your solution with the other student before you submit it to me. and especially with the project, it's going to be a requirement. And so you can discuss these issues, okay? And because other person will have a different opinion, different view on this on the subject, and it can definitely improve the way of your thinking, okay? So what we saw here is, let me clear these error messages. They don't look nice, but they were caused by me pressing Ctrl+C. So that's one way to use this TK in a very low level thing. Let me open the file. So what we see here is that Shahar used from tkinter imported the file dialog, which is one of the simple things. And then here called file dialog ask directory, and provided a title which appeared at the top of the window, which we couldn't really see because the font was so small, and must exist. I guess this means that the user can't just type in a name of a new folder. The user has to select an existing folder, and then whatever the user selects will be returned to this variable. Now, one thing, let me run this again. One thing that if I press here cancel, then the whole thing will blow up, okay? Because it says list dir path should be a string path, blah, 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 integer or none, not a tuple. Okay, whatever the meaning of this, and less important right now. The source of this problem was here in the OS list dir, which is on line 82. And we arrived there from here, line 32, when we were called this, the folder path. So we were using this folder path, and on this we were trying to do something. And the problem is basically that if the user presses cancel, then this thing will receive none. So I would definitely recommend in this case is to check whether the user, whether this variable is none. So something like this: if table close path is none, then exit you did not provide name. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, so now if I run this and press cancel, it still blew up because I don't know why. Oh, I think I know, because this is not a none. Okay, let me print out. I don't remember what is this thing. Okay, let me print it out and exit. So I run this, I click cancel, and it's a tuple. It's an empty pair of parentheses. We didn't discuss too much tuples, okay? But basically they are very similar to lists, except that we can't change them. So instead of asking here if tables is none, what we need to ask if, basically we'd need to ask if it's empty. So if not tables, I think that should be okay. And now if I run the program and click on cancel again, then I get this you did not provide name. And we can get rid of this print now. So in general, it's a very good idea to check whatever input you get from the user, okay? Regardless actually whether you're using a file dialog like this one, or you are asking the user on the command line, like in the next few questions you asked Shahar, or anyone else basically. If you are doing any input, you should verify that the input is correct, okay? It's in the correct format. If it's a number, if it's it really looks like a number, so I can convert it. Is it in the range that you're expecting? Many times you have to verify that the user actually provided something and didn't just press cancel or press enter. because if you don't check these, then either your code will blow up with this nasty Python error message and no one will be happy. Okay, so the users, if they are not you, of course, but even if the user is you, we won't like these nasty error messages. It's much better to have some clear explanation that the user can then correct if that was I mean, if the input is incorrect, whether it's the name of the file that the user selected or actually the data inside the CSV file or Excel file or whatever, maybe it's not in the correct format. Maybe the user selected the wrong CSV file and not one that is the same format as you're expecting, or the user, or just there is an error in the data, right? I'm sure that you're familiar with the fact that many times maybe you have missing data or whatever in the CSV files. So it's better that you verify all these things and give an error message that the user can understand and maybe even correct, than to just blow up the program. It's more work. Let me check what is this CSV file look like. Okay, so for example, in this CSV file, we have a title, okay, row. So sometimes you have a CSV file without this row, just the data, okay? But in this case, we have the title row. And then you can use that for all kind of things. But for example, when I write a program that reads CSV files, one of the first things I do is verify that the title fields are exactly as I expect. So I actually save this line. Let me show you this one. I save it somehow in the code. Okay, I have this, let's say, title in a string, and then when I read the CSV file, the first thing I'll try to do is verify that the title is in the right format. Because if it's not, then apparently the data is different than I was expecting. Okay, so it's just a recommendation. I'm removing that from now because that's not really relevant. Right. Actually, I see that you have something here, the folder path checking. Interesting that it didn't stop the program for some reason, right? Because what you get here, okay, so what we have here is this table folder class is a, let me print it out again, print table, and then just call exit because I don't want the whole program to run. So if I run this program again, and I actually select OK on the current folder, what we get back, very strangely, this is now the file name and not the empty tuple. I'm really surprised what's going on here.
That's what it's supposed to do. It's choosing the folder name.
Yes, but when it was empty, it was the empty tuple. That's why I'm surprised, and it wasn't none. Okay, so let me try to figure this out. So this is the file dialog, the tkinter file dialog, tkinter file dialog, ask directory. So I was expecting a different answer when I pressed cancel. But once I saw that the console returns an empty tuple, then I thought that even when you select, you will get back a tuple with some values. But apparently you got back actually the name of the file. So that's one now that surprised me because of that. Ask directory, prompts user additional. It doesn't say what it returns. Very strange. Okay, so that's the reason that that this check, because it returns a tuple and not an empty string, this is the reason that this check didn't catch the problem. Okay.
Yeah, for me it returned an empty string. That's what I did. It.
Oh,
Maybe because I did it on a Windows machine and it's
yes.
different. Yeah.
That shouldn't be the case, but maybe. Okay. I really don't know. Maybe that's the problem.
Because the window that it opens is it's part of the system you use on. It's like the system's browser, basically, the folder browser.
Yes, that's the.
So my guess is that the
Hmm.
Linux folder browser, when you do cancel, it returns an empty tuple, and the Windows folder browser, when you do cancel, it returns an empty string.
Maybe. So now you can see what kind of mess we are in when we are programming. Let me just try to find something, because I remember someone actually checked this. Yeah, so there is no, this is inside just a second. Someone was checking, one of the students I remember was checking, but it wasn't like this. I don't remember. I can't find it now. Was checking whether the user is on Windows or not. Oh, wait a minute, because I'm in the wrong folder. No, I'm in the right folder. I can't find it now. Okay, so let me check this. Python show current operating system. So I have it somewhere in my slides, but I keep forgetting it. So here is for example, this sys platform. And okay, there's also a good opportunity to show you Stack Overflow. I think I didn't show you. So many cases when you're looking for something, especially if you have some error message that you don't understand, and you search for it either on Google or on DuckDuckGo, like I do, then one of the first hits is going to be on Stack Overflow. So this time also it was on Stack Overflow. And what is important is that it's quite important to understand how it works, because some people slightly misunderstand. So it's a forum basically where you can ask questions and give answers, and many people like to answer. And apparently on this question, someone marked it as a duplicate and then linked to some other place where there you have an answer. But each question can be upvoted or downvoted by users of this platform. And then after the question come the answers. So in many cases, I basically skip the question because I'm not that interested in reading other people's problems. Hopefully they are similar to what I have. But when I have a issue, then I do go in there. And then I go to the answers. And the answers nowadays, you can already sort them based on, again, each answer can be up or down voted by their users. So you can sort by the highest score, and I'm surprised you can't. Okay. Again, I'm surprised a bit. I didn't know that. What I wanted to show you is this one, this green, I don't know what is it, V mark on one of the answers. So, and I don't see that how you could tell the system to show that at the top, but you can find it. Okay, so what is this? This is the original person who asked the question can mark one of the answers is that this is the right answer for my question. Okay, this not might be the right answer for you because of platform, because maybe it's for Python 2 and not Python 3 or whatever. But this is a good indication for something. It also has a lot of upvotes, but The other one actually have more like this has 400 and the other has 300. So these are probably the two best answers, the one with the most upvotes and the one that was marked, if there is one, because some people who ask questions, they don't bother to mark any of the answers, or they didn't receive a good answer for themselves. Okay, so this is the two things. And then there can be tons of other answers here. And you're welcome. I would like to encourage you also to upvote these things, both the question and the answer, if it helps you, because why not? And people who answer here, they are volunteers who do this because they want to get more likes. Okay, basically. They want to show that they want to help other people. But going back to our actual problem, the SYS platform thingy, okay, the SYS library has a platform attribute. And I guess if I click on this, then we'll get to the documentation indeed. And then you can check whether these are the values that you might get. So on Windows, it's Win32 and not Windows. That's probably the reason I didn't find it when I was searching earlier. On Linux, it's Linux. On macOS, it's Darwin. Why? Long story. Why do they have these different names? Long story, but basically, this way you can find out on what kind of operating system you are, in case you would like to make sure, in case you have these issues, like we just apparently encountered, that the behavior of some function is different on different operating systems. Okay, and I know that you probably don't want to care about it because you only want to do biology. But sometimes, especially if you start writing a program and people start using it, then you might need to deal with this. So let me go back to the terminal and search for this again, Win32. So okay, let me search for this one, SYS platform. SYS platform. No, so this is the way basically how to check it, but this is already inside one of the platform, one of the libraries. It's inside people, days, somewhere here. Okay, I couldn't find it. Okay, forget it. Someone used it. So you can also do this kind of thing. Now let's go to the more interesting tkinter part. Let me. Yeah, we can work here. Work, slides, Python. This is just a folder where I have all the slides and TK, no examples, TK. So the original name is TK. I don't really know why do they call tkinter in Python. TK stands for toolkit. Basically, in order to draw these windows on the screen, you need some kind of a library that can draw on the screen. So we, from Python, can't really draw on the screen these boxes and the menus, okay? So there are various of these toolkits. There are several toolkits in general for all the languages, but also for Python. And one of the ancient ones is TK. And apparently, and I didn't know this, nowadays, if you're using TK on Windows, they might already use the native, let's say, this file dialog. So maybe for other things, if they don't use the native ones, but for the file dialog, maybe they use. Okay, I'm not sure. I hardly use Windows, and actually I hardly use TK these days. But sometimes I do have some project or especially I like to show it. So in this folder, and you can let me link to this also. So if you go to GitHub, my name, slides, This is the repository. Okay, so I'll put this in our. This is the repository. I'll put it in the plan. I will put it in the README file. This is a repository where I have all the source of all the slides, and you can clone it exactly as you cloned your own repository. And inside there, you will have millions and millions of slides of various programming languages, various things, various courses I teach. And you can get into the folder, which is called Python. And in there, you have the examples. And in there is somewhere this TK. Okay? And of course, you can also go to CodeMaven slides Python. And here I think it's just enough to type in TK. And here are the slides for that. So all the examples, but on the web. And the main one that I wanted to show is the TK demo. So let me, and one more thing. I think that these days, you might need to install actually TK. So a couple of years ago, TK was coming with Python default, but I think these days you already have to install it with pip install TK, I guess, or tkinter. I think you have to do this. So if we go back to this folder, the TK folder, and I have the demo. This is, I guess, this is the TK demo. So let me try to run this TK demo, and let's see. Of course, I have to start. Yeah, we can't see it. Oh, it's horrible that we can't see it. Anyway, let me try to tell you what you can't see here. So what I would like do if I were you is cloning this repository, and then you should be able to run the same all these examples, and hopefully on your screen you will be able to see them better. But what you can see here is, for example, that we have these menus. And I think this one is quit. And when I clicked on it, then the whole window closed. And I don't even need to. So right now I started it on the command line, but I actually could, and especially on Windows, it's quite easy to map the .py to Python actually. I think that's basically the default once you installed Python. And then you can double click on this .py file from your file dialog. Sorry, for the file explorer, which looks like, let me just a second, or bring it over here. It opened on the different yeah. So this file, I mean, you can't really recognize this because this is the Linux one. But the thing that the file explorer that you have, this yellow icon, and you can double click there and we'll start the program. So let me get back to this. Okay, so you can create these menus, okay, and all kind of stuff. Here, this is just something that you can type in text. Okay, you can't see the text. Now this one is something which is called password here. And this one is where you can type in some text, but the user can't even see what he or she typed in. And that's because it's marked as hidden. So the data is behind there, but it just displays stars. Something you would expect from a field that is to be where you fill in your password or some secret. And then these ones are called radio buttons, I think. These are circles. And as you can see, this row, I don't know how much can you see it, but this row has like 5. And now the second one has black on it. And now if I click the other one, then this one became white. So the radio buttons are from these old radios where you could press, where you can only have one on. Okay, that's the whole point. Okay, we have 5 values and you have to select exactly one. Okay, and so when you select one of them, the other one is turned off. That's what we call radio button. Then there are what we call checkboxes, which are 3 here, that each one separately you can click on off. Okay, I turn it off. So this is when you have to turn on and off things, but they are sort of independent because you can have either one of them on and off. Then you can see here, this is a drop-down menu that we were just discussing. This is discussing, sorry. Sorry, yeah. So discussing, yeah. This one is apparently a multi-select one, okay, where you can select multiple items. And it also shows all of them right now. But you can also have longer lists and you can have mark them as single select or whatever. Then here we have this file selector that came up. And then if I select something, then it will, the way I implemented it, that it shows whatever selection. And then I think here, if there is a red button, okay, you can see that the text is red and it says, don't click me. And when you click it, it says that deleting hard disk, please wait. Okay, it's just to make it scary. It doesn't actually do anything. Okay, but you can have all these pop-ups messages. Okay, so for example, you write some application and the user doesn't provide some value or some error messages you would like to report, then you can do this kind of thing. And this one is another button that will take all the data that is filled in now and shows them all the data collected, shows them in a single window, just so I wrote this so I can show you that how to collect all the data. And then I can click on another button and then it will print out on this window some output. Okay, maybe the progress of the program. So as you can see, I didn't have to switch back to ask questions on the terminal. All the information I could collect on this window. The sort of the difficult part here is that, let me try to think what is really the difficult part here. Programming a GUI like this is totally different from what we learned so far. So far, we learned more or less something like that progresses. Okay, so you have one question, and then based on this, you will have another question, and then you do something else, and you do something else. Creating a GUI is sort of is different. Let me try to show you this one, and then I'll switch back to some other example if it's too difficult. So this is the implementation of the window that you saw. And before I get into this, in the slides, basically, I have a very slow introduction of, okay, this is just one example with just a single button. Okay, so let me show this one before I get more. Python TK button, I think. So where it is, there is it. It's here. Okay, so there's a single button here. Okay, and when I clicked it, it closed. That's the whole thing. And you can see this is the implementation. So basically, I import this tkinter from the TK library. I create the application. I don't start it. Okay, I create. So, okay. When you're building a window like this, or a Windows-based application, or a GUI-based application, you have to, it's what we call an event-based programming. So you set up everything that will work in this program, but everything will be triggered by various actions people do. So when you will have to implement basically what should happen when the user clicks on this button or when the user selects that item on the menu. Okay, so it's not, and then once you prepared everything and you say, okay, when the user clicks this one, this function will happen. When the user does this one, then this function will happen. And then you start the whole system and say, okay, now just go and run and wait for the user to do something. And basically, this is how it's set up. So it's different from the way we were programming. So here we create the application. We put the title on the top, okay? Still nothing shows. Then we say, okay, we create a button. And that this button actually, yeah, okay, sorry. And the button has a field called command, and it has a function. And this is a built-in function, so I didn't have to write anything. In a second, I'll show you something that I myself implemented. But basically, this says that create this button and put the text on the button. So the button will say close. And whenever the user clicks on this button, call this function. And this is a built-in function for this window, for this whole system, basically saying, okay, just close it, destroy the whole thing. So I created the button, but I still didn't put it on the frame, on the window. And this command, the pack command, puts it actually on the window. I have various ways how to say where to put this button. This is also basically the simplest one. Basically, just say I am just telling it, okay, just put it somewhere. Okay, put it the next thing. Okay, I don't care. Okay, but you could actually design it saying, okay, put it on the left-hand side, right-hand side. It's you can invest quite a lot to make it nice, unlike the one that I showed you. Okay, and so you prepared everything here, fine. Then you start the main loop, and that's it. Okay, and now it's waiting for you to do something. In this case, the only thing you can do is click on the button, but you saw that we could do more. This one, okay, the next example. Okay, here I already implemented the function, very simple one again, that prints on the console something, so on the terminal, on where we started. So it's still not really the nice thing, because I said it's better not to print there anything, or not to it's better to use everything in the GUI, but it was easier for me to show. So in this case, I have a function that if it's called, then I will print out clicked. So far, nothing special. Created the application, had some title, and added one button, and then added another button. And the second button is quite familiar, because its command is up destroy. This is what we had earlier. The first button says that the command is this function. So I have this function run action, and I give it as a command to this button. And the text on this button is action. And then once I prepared everything, I say, okay, now let's start the main loop, show the window. Okay, so this is the TK button with action. TK button with action. And it's here, okay? So here is the action button, and here is the close button. If I click on the action button, it will print out on the terminal clicked, right? I just wanted to show you that how to implement some function that is your own function already, or my own function, or our own function, can do anything basically, but it will only run when the user does something, in this case, clicks on this button. Okay, and then the exit button will just exit. Any questions here? Okay, so this one is the source code of that big application, or relatively big application. So for example, the scary action. So there is a function that will use this message box coming from the take-inter. It says show error. That's what was displayed, if you remember, the scary message. Deleting hard disk, please wait. Okay, and this is the whole code. Okay, now let me search for where is it code. So you can see here I created a button just like earlier, just like in the previous examples. It says that the foreground is red, so the foreground is the text. And the command is the scary action function. Okay, and here I invested slightly more into the location. So I said not just pack, but I said on the left-hand side. Okay. And then we had another button there, which was just pegged. So it's gonna be the next thing, and because it's because of the layout of this thing, it will be on the right of the scary button. And the command is run code. So let me find out where run code is. So this is run code. This is basically taking, okay, the values from the various other things, creating a text message, and then where is the end? Yes, this is the output window, the big window. If you remember, let me actually run this. Okay, Python tk, I'm running it in the background so we can see it. So we had this output window, this variable, which we don't know. This is the big window here, and I just updated it here. So there's some code that had to be written so I can write here on this window. And basically, I could, for example, use this to show a progress of what's going on. Especially if it's a long-running program, it's nice that the people know that something is going on and it's not just stuck. But what is this output window? So let me find it. Here is it when I created it. It's a TK text thingy. Now let me replace the word thingy by what we actually use. So these things, the input box, the fact that we have some text here, the menu, all of them in Windows, they are called controls. And on Linux, they are called widgets. So basically, we have this text widget here. I would call them widget, or you can call it control. Doesn't really matter. And I just created one, and I pegged it into this place. And before that, I had, for example, the label. So this is the label, this label here, file name. And then I had here an entry box. So basically this one I can type here, but I also have this button that will open the file selector. And so you can see this is basically it. Here is a combo box. Which is the combo box? I don't remember. The country selector. I think these are the countries here. No, I don't know where are the countries. I think this one. I'm not sure. Anyway, here's the color names, red, blue, and green. So these are the three checkboxes. Here it says check button. The official name here is check button, not checkbox. Okay, different names, different places. These are the radio button. Now here, for example, I had the values fixed in the program. But in case of Shachar, for example, you could say, for example, here you could have a drop-down menu that's empty because we didn't select the folder yet. And the user, then you have some place here where the user, like this one, just opens the directory selector. And once the user selected the directory, you could automatically read it, the CSV files, and update the list of CSV file, the list here in the selector. Okay, it's a little bit of work, and you have to learn how to do this. But you can create these nice GUIs. Any questions before we take a break?
Can you show what is the output? Like you select, you push some buttons, and what is the output?
Sorry, if I select what?
So you chose the tick box and you push the, I don't know, some animal or country, and what is the output of it?
Okay, so let's say let's check the radio buttons for a second. So we had the I think they didn't have a command. Okay, so here the animals, the 5 radio buttons, right? So here I had the list of the animals, and I created the radio buttons, and none of these radio buttons had a command. So but the user clicking on them didn't trigger any action. Okay, in that case, what I did then is that this radio, I have this variable called my radio, which is a list. Okay, so let me show you what's good. I have a list here, my radio, and then I go over all the animal names and create a radio button of each of them and append to this my radio list the radio button. And then and I'm not using it. Okay, sorry. I'll have to find what's going on. I haven't checked this code for a while. Okay, so the event really, the events are, let me actually check this command. So we have an event for the menu. Okay, so there is an event for the menu, the exit thing. There is an event associated with the file selector button, the scary action, and the run code. Only these have actual actions connected to them. The rest don't. And you could, I guess, do any of them, but I don't have any action connected them in this application. So what happens is that when you click on this run button, then we collect all the data from the various fields the user could fill if the user selected to fill. So for example, there is the name field, which is this one, I guess. Okay, this is the name widget, and we have a variable called name. And this name get will return whatever the user typed in here. So you could have an action on when the user types in something. Every time the user presses a button or releases a button, that could trigger something. And in some applications, that's what you not want. In this application, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to let the user type in or select and do all kind of stuff, and then click on this run button. Okay?
I mean, do you have an example? Like, I just want to see how it looks like how the output is look like.
So you put here foo, and then if you click on the run, it collected this foo. I don't know if you can see it, name foo.
Yes, I see.
Okay?
Yes, thank you.
So how this pop-up is actually, so this code now ran. I took the name from the name field, put in this text variable, this variable called text. And then once I collected everything, I called this message box ask question and says this, shall I run this, and put all the text here. So if I click here again, you can see that this is a, shall I start running? I don't know how much you can see it, but this is the text here. Shall I start running? And then all the data that I collected from the various widgets. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
This one shows how you can, for example, so this is, I don't know, but this example shows, for example, how to capture events when the user clicks on the various buttons of the mouse. And you can just see here, I think what you can see here actually are the coordinates where I clicked. So if I click on the left hand, on the C, then it says 1, 5. If I click on the W here, then it's, okay, so it's 1, 5, and then this number became big. Okay, so that's also another thing that you can, and all the rest is just, well, for our purposes now, it's garbage. It's just calling the dir function. But this is basically an example how you can map the mouse. Well, the mice that you have on Windows machines or Linux machines usually have 3 buttons. So you can map all 3 buttons to some kind of an action. Okay, this is slightly different because we are binding an event, the button pressing the first button of the mouse to some function. And in this case, I mapped them, all of them, to the same function. But of course, you could do something else. So for each one of them, you can have a different action. And then this will be called, this function, the action function. TK, we pass in an object called event. And on this event, you will, for example, get the coordinates of where this button was clicked. And then you can have all kind of interesting things you can do with this. Okay, any more questions? Anything else I could show with this one? So any of you, just to close this, any of you are interested, would be interested to use this TK, you're welcome to clone this repository or just download the individual files, run each one of the examples. Let me know if something is broken, okay? Because I wrote this a couple of years ago and maybe some changes were, and maybe something doesn't work on Windows or doesn't work well on Windows. So let me know. And then you can experiment with this and try to build your application using this. So let's stop now and meet at 10 minutes from now.